Hey y'all, it's been a couple weeks since I put up a video about anything really. Uh, all the noise you hear in the background is dogs running and playing. I don't know how many people saw or not. I put up a post on the transport page that I'm going to be going back to transporting. Hopefully we'll get back into it. We'll get some loads going up. I know we're working on one right now going to back to Connecticut. Have another one with 6 going to Pennsylvania. Somebody else in Pennsylvania with 4. So we got a lot of dogs to move. We just got to figure out, get with everybody involved and get the load plans set up and figure out what I can take and go from there. Now, if you're following the Bobby's Heart page, Jimmy's doing a raffle for Lugo's surgery. He's fixing to have his front left leg amputated. As a matter of fact, he's one of the ones that you probably hear paw prints on the floor. He's fixing to have that leg amputated. It's an old injury. He broke it somehow. We don't know how. That's how it was when we got it. Bones didn't heal correctly. They fused together. Going in and having surgeries on it is probably more than likely going to give him pain for the rest of his life with arthritis. Be a whole bunch of metal, pins, screws, plates, all that kind of stuff. We opted to go with the amputation. He gets around pretty good with. With his 3 legs. He does use it as a crutch though, so we're hoping that he'll adjust fine with that once that's done. He's also getting fixed the same day. So Jimmy's got a raffle going. Paula Weber, she has bought some beds for the raffle. Jimmy said there'll be 2 winners, so you can get with Jimmy on that. I think it's $3 for 5 tickets, I believe. We need the money to be able to afford that surgery. It is pretty expensive to have that done, even though it is just basically removing a limb. It's a lot more to it than just that. So that's the new news. Hopefully everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing what they need to do with this virus still around. I chose to go back to transporting. Our rescue is not, being that we can't get out and do fundraisers like we used to, at least until all these stay-at-home orders are lifted. I chose to go back to transporting. What we get off the transport's about 25% at least goes back into the rescue on that. Rest of it goes for maintenance and stuff on the truck and trailer. So we're going to go back to doing that. Hopefully we don't have any issues with the different states on the way up. A lot of people are still doing it. Some people never stopped. Other transport groups stopped right around the same time as we did. So we're going to get that back rolling again. Just a little side note, nothing to do with the rescue or transport. I am cutting grass, so if you need your yards mowed and you are in Vernon or Beauregard Parish in Louisiana, hit me up. I can come do it. I'm probably one of the cheaper ones around, not doing it to break your wallet. Doing it until something else breaks. Back to the virus thing. Hopefully everybody's taking their precautions. There's a lot of stories going around, a lot of contradicting stories going around. I'm not going to tell you who to believe. just find one that you think is being truthful with you, and just follow it. It's kind of hard to do that nowadays. 1 minute, and it doesn't matter which news media outlet does it, or which person says it. Somewhere down the line, something is going to be contradicted by it. So just be picky who you follow. Pay attention to the information that's being put out. Ask. If you got friends in the medical field, ask them, because that's exactly what I do. I've got two that if I do have a question about it, I'll send them my question. I can usually get an answer back within 24 hours. They're good people. I personally worked with them, personally know them both. They're good at what they do. One of them's Charlotte Luce and the other one's James Williams. Charlotte's in Texas. That last tornado that ripped through there was less than 20 miles from her house. Her place came out good. No damage there. James, he's over in Florida. Believe down in the center, east coast. Actually, I think he's down the southern tip, on the eastern side of it, though. Good people. So if you find somebody that you can trust with medical information, hit them up for it. Don't just believe, necessarily what's being put out. Try not to get political about it, but it's a lot of stories going. Some good, some bad, some are truthful, some aren't. Just pay attention to what you're listening to. Do what you feel is best for you and your family. I've talked it over with Jimmy a lot longer than just a day. We feel that now's a good time to go back to transport. There are a lot of places opening back up. Could be good, could be bad. I don't really think anybody has a complete 100% handle on things right now. So just be picky. What I did want to talk about tonight is the expressions, facial expressions of dogs. Everybody assumes that a dog is vicious, or it's mad, or it's aggressive because it's barking. If that's the case, I guess when a horse whinnies, or a cow moos, or a sheep bays, I guess that makes them aggressive. Bark is just dog's way of talking. They don't have words like we do. Some people talk loud, just naturally. They just talk loud. Others talk soft. Watch the eyes, watch the posture, the tail. Just because a dog has a wagging tail doesn't necessarily mean it's happy to see you. I've seen dogs fight. Both of them got their tails wagging. You have to understand a little bit of the reactions, the movements, the way a dog is moving, to be able to determine how to proceed in catching that dog, if that's what you're trying to do. Just real quick, I do have a book with a lot more specifics on this topic and several others. I got them from Code 3 Associates when I took their class down in Baton Rouge a couple years ago. I'm sure the information, the topics I'm going to go over out of that book, the information isn't going to change that much. So I will have, I'll probably do this one again, which is probably going to be my first one. It'll be a lot more information, a lot more specifics. When you're approaching a dog that's a stray, don't just assume that it's happy to see you and that you are now its savior and it understands this, and the dog understands that that you're not going to hurt it. The dog doesn't know that. For all we know, when we approach a stray dog, is that a person is the one who dumped it there, or a person is the one who hurt it. A person is the one driving the car or truck that just hit it. You don't know that. So you have to pay attention to the dog's reactions. Just because a dog bites you does not mean that it's aggressive or vicious. And before anything gets said on that, you have to go to court, and a judge has to deem that dog aggressive or vicious. And then it's got to meet a certain criteria for that to happen. So don't automatically think because a dog got out of its yard, come over and attacked yours or attacked your cat, that dog is vicious. Dogs are pack animals. A lot of them, before we domesticated them, they're prey driven. Even the dogs we have now in our own homes, well, if you've got ducks or chickens or something like that at your home, they probably don't do a whole lot with them just walking around, pecking at the ground, eating, swimming, that sort of thing. Let that bird jump up and fly. Now the dog reacts to it. It just goes straight to instinct, and now the chase is on. Bird's in the air. Dog's not going to get it. Gracie did that the other day with two egrets. They were in the water. She just walked in the water to cool off, and she got herself a drink, and I guess the two egrets got spooked. They lifted up and flew up. Gracie's first thing was to chase him. It was actually kind of funny because the two egrets just kind of, not 20, 25 foot, just circled in the air, and Gracie's trying to run in circles trying to catch it. So don't think that because somebody's dog just attacked yours or attacked your livestock or attacked your cat, that the animal is automatically vicious or aggressive. There are people out there, hopefully she won't get mad, that know the signs really, really well. As a matter of fact, I've called on her quite a few times. Megan Manuel, she works with Lake Charles Pitbull. She's one of the trainers that I personally know and I personally dealt with. I got to where I could read dogs really well. I had one that I picked up, a beagle, that is the only dog that ever bit me. She didn't bite me because she was aggressive or vicious. Now they can be. I'm not saying they can't be. They can be. When she got done letting me know that she did not want me to put my hands on her, I had 2 pools of blood dripping off my hands, dripping off both hands, all over my boots. Dog was nowhere near vicious or aggressive. The dog was scared to death. There's no telling what happened to the dog. This was back, I'm going to say 3 years ago when I got her. While I was still at the sheriff's department. Picked her up. She was fine. Got her back to the kennels. Crawled in the truck to get her because I failed to read the signs, thinking that just because she's 20 pounds, she's not going to do nothing, or I can control her. That was not the case in any way, shape, or form. My own wife laughed hysterically. I thought she was going to pee her pants as I'm dripping blood off of both hands like somebody just cut them off. She was scared. That was it. That's all it was, fear. Most people call them fear biters. I'm sure there's other names out there for them. But you have to pay attention to how the dog is acting and reacting. I did get her out of the truck. I did keep her there for almost a month. at the kennels and found a rescue for her. It took her about a year to let one person approach her. Now, the last I heard, and this has been quite a few months ago, the dog's in Southeast Beagle Rescue down in Tampa, Florida. The last I heard a few months ago was that she's pretty relaxed with the other beagles until people show up, and she goes right back into her shell. The volunteer that is working with her has got her to the point after a year and a half, 2 years, probably two and a half years now, has got her to, well, she will walk up to her. She'll allow her to put a leash on her. But if she does go to grab her to like put her in her lap or to hold her, she tenses up and she panics. So it's really a shame that, pardon my French, some asshole broke this dog's spirit so bad that after 3 years in a good person's hands, the dog is still fear reactive. I do believe she's in a good rescue. I do believe she's in a good hands. The man that runs that rescue, I think he does it for the right reasons. She may never be adoptable, but at least she's going to be around people that will treat her right. So when you're approaching strays, be very, very, very watchful of how the dog is reacting. I picked up another one that all it was doing was walking in circles in the middle of the road. I saw no visible wounds on it. When I would just put my hand on it, she would just stop, and she was fine with that. I guess because she felt that she kind of felt safe, I guess. And when I tried to pick her up, she did try to bite me. It wasn't really a bite where she's going to hurt me. It was a bite to let her go. Come to find out, dog had severe head trauma, blood behind the eyes, which caused her to be blind, and also was the reason why she was walking circles in the road. Got her. Once you got her in your arms, she relaxed really fast. You just had to take the little nips that she was fixing to give you, because she was fixing to let you know she didn't want to be held. Once I figured that out, which didn't take me long with her, I used a blanket, wrapped her up in a blanket, and you could feel her relax. She only saw shadows, so that scared her. You have to know the difference between a dog biting you because it thinks you're his dinner, or a dog biting you because it's hurt and you just hit that spot that's hurt, or the dog is scared. Dog doesn't know if it's the same with us, fight or flight. Two choices. Once you get to that point in that event, that's the two choices you're going to have. You're either going to stand there and fight until you die or whatever it is attacking you dies, or you're going to try and run. Most dogs that I've seen, and this is just my opinion, if they're fearful, they're going to give you that nip. They're not going to come at you. They're just as scared of you as you are of them at that point. Usually they won't come at you as like an attack. It's going to nip to give you those warnings to stay away. I'm scared. I don't know what you're going to do. Leave me alone. Most of the time you're going to see them backing up. You're going to see, if you really pay attention and start understanding what to look for, you're going to see it in their eyes, that it's fear, not aggression. You're going to see a tail tucked between their legs, almost to where you can't see it. You're going to notice a lot of things. Their stance is not going to be upright. It's going to be kind of slouched a little bit. It's going to be a lower guarding type stance. Now, on the other hand, you get a dog that is aggressive, and you know he is fixing to bite you when if and when he gets the chance. The stance is completely different. Stance is usually going to be upright, a pretty solid offensive type of stance. Watch football players. There's two different stances that they do between offensive linemen and defensive linemen. It's the same in animals, really. A lot of people don't pay attention to the signs that are given. If they did, they would probably wouldn't have near as many dog bites. Not a big fan of snakes. They will give you warnings with whatever God gave them to do that. Rattlesnakes, for instance, rattle their tail. That's a warning. It's a warning you're too close to them, get away, or somebody's fixing to have a bad day. So dogs do the same thing. A fearful kind of stance is usually not going to be upright, offensive looking. Tail's going to be tucked. And like I said, I'm going to do this class pretty much out of the book here in probably a couple weeks to where I can get more specifics. I know what I'm looking for. It's just hard to explain. But once people start doing that, start understanding the mentality of an animal, doesn't matter if it's a horse, a dog, whatever you got, whatever your rescue is saving, pay attention to them. You'll figure it out real quick. Dogs that are playful, their ears are most of the time are up. You can kind of almost see a grin on their face, or that's what it kind of looks like in a lot of ways. It's just you see a happy look about them, a happy, I guess, aura about them. If people would pay more attention to how the dog is acting and reacting, how they're standing, what they're doing, what the situation is, definitely understand the situation. If you're walking up on a dog and he's got his leg caught in a snare trap, I guarantee you that dog is going to bite you when you try to get him out of it. Don't take it personal. Who knows how long that snare's been on him? The only thing he wants to do right now is get his foot out of there one way or the other, whether he's got to rip it off or somehow it comes free. Dog's going to bite you. I guarantee it, he's going to bite you when you try to get that snare off him. So if people would start not assuming that a simple bark is not a sign of aggression, it's not a sign of being vicious, people will start making correct calls to animal control. Me personally, when I had calls that people would call in saying the dog is aggressive, it's vicious, that sort of thing, as soon as I hear that, the first thing I ask him is, what's the dog doing? Will he stand there barking? 9 times out of 10, that was the answer. Dog standing there barking. Will he showing his teeth? What do you mean he's showing his teeth? I can see his teeth when he barks. No kidding. Most of the time, a lot of times, you can see their teeth when they bark. Their mouth's open. You have to pay attention to the situation at hand, the immediate situation. That's Lugo. He's the one that's going to get his leg amputated, and gonna get him fixed and get him back better and do a little rehab with him. You gonna say hi? You gonna say hi? Hey, over here. He's not gonna look. Anyway, that's Lugo. But pay attention to what the situation is. Is the dog caught in the trap? Is it protecting a kill that it just made? Does it have a toy? Are you approaching too fast to a kennel the dog's in? Is it a food thing? A lot of dogs are food aggressive. Take the food away, you can put that dog with anything, anywhere, anytime. Put the food back, and you have your hands full. There's a lot of dogs like that. Sometimes you can break that habit, sometimes you can't. Toys. We don't do toys in our house. We got a couple of them that like to steal them all, for one, and hide them. And then they fight. They fight over them. So we don't do toys. Doesn't happen every time, but you know, it's just like two teenage boys. They get to playing, then they start playing rougher and rougher and rougher. And then one of the boys gets a good shot in, and now the other one's mad. Well, that's what happens with dogs. It's not a I'm gonna kill you kind of thing. It's a hey, you took my toy and I want it back kind of thing. Those of you that don't know, just thought that that's Gracie. I think I've got her. That's my girl, Gracie. Yep, that's my baby. She's about a year old. You know, so pay attention to what's going on. Look at the dog's stance. The same thing with people. Just because a guy talks loud doesn't mean he's just because he talks loud doesn't mean he's fixing to fight somebody. Could be, but like I said, some people talk loud, some people don't. So pay attention to it. Know what's going on. Survey the area. Could be a female dog that's got puppies close and you are encroaching too close to them. You may not even know where they're at. That happens. You know, so know what you're looking at. Don't just assume that because a dog is barking and you can see his teeth, because for some strange reason when they open their mouth you can see their teeth. Don't think that the dog is mad and wanting to bite you. I'll give you an example. And I had to work really hard on this call because the call was there was an aggressive dog in a yard. It went to her back pole barn where she kept her tractor. The dog was staying there. She had grandkids. She didn't want the dog attacking the kids. So I go out there. It's raining. Dog took shelter. Basically, the dog took shelter where the tractor was. We found him after a couple minutes of looking around. And she said, there he is. So I said, okay. Well, the lady was standing behind me, and I wasn't worried about it, because if the dog was going to do something, he would have, first off, he would have jumped up and gave me some kind of offensive stance. That dog never did. He just laid there. So I called him, and he stood up. He barked a couple times. He didn't know me. He knew he wasn't on his own property. He barked a couple times, and he slowly started walking towards us. So the lady panics. She starts going back toward her house very, very quickly. And she says, see, he's showing his teeth. So I look, and I can't see very far off, especially a smaller, medium-sized dog. It's kind of was a beige color, white. So I guess it closed the distance about halfway, which probably would have put him about 50 foot or so. Um, the dog was smiling. I mean, you could see both sides of his teeth. That top lip was just raised. You could see all his front teeth. And the woman is just straight up panicking. Said the dog was aggressive. It's going to attack her kids. And I understand the thought process of that. Not the woman was not dumb by any means. Just not having a knowledge of a dog's reactions or their stance or what they're doing. Horses. You can look it up on the internet. Horses smile all the time. And a lot of times you see both sets of teeth on them. Does that mean the horse is going to bite you? You know, some dogs do. So the dog come walking up to me, put a slip leash on, we walked to the truck together, dog was fine. You know, that's a pretty good indication that just because a dog's showing you his teeth doesn't mean he's fixing to bite you. He may just be happy because you come and saved him because it's raining out. It wasn't cold, but it's raining. He didn't have anywhere to go. He found the one place that he thought he could stay without being in trouble. He was behind the woman's house. You know, so it's not like he was out where the kids were at or out in traffic fixing to cause a wreck. He was out of the way. And if you didn't know he was there, you wouldn't have saw him. So, you know, it's not like he didn't want to be seen. You know, didn't care if he was or not. But, you know, he knowing that animals do smile would have probably saved that woman 4 heart attacks in that 20 minutes. You know, and it's a shame that we just assume because animals react one way that it's a bad way. That's not always the case. So if people would just educate themselves a little bit, just a little bit, get with your animal control officer in your area. Hopefully they've got a little bit of education under them or have been doing it for a while. And they're actually a people person that can deal with the public pretty well. Just ask them. You know, I ask them questions about it. You know, what's it mean if a dog does this? Or what should I do if a dog does this? Ask them. If they can't tell you, you're talking to the wrong person. Hopefully he's not a supervisor. They're probably going to ask you a ton of questions about it, which they should, because they're trying to set up a scenario in their head about it. So, if you're going to ask somebody in dog rescue, make sure it's a good rescue. Because there are some bad ones out there. There are some really, 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 really arrogant ones who think they know what they're doing and really don't. You know, so just make sure, you know, again, like I said about the virus thing, be picky about who you're getting your information from. Your animal control guy should be one of your best resources because you are one of his best resources when it comes to animals, especially if you have animals of your own. So pay attention to the dog, how it's acting, how it's reacting, what the situation is. Did he just kill a rabbit? You know, if he's starving, he's gonna guard that rabbit with his life probably. He's hungry. He wants to eat. Is it a female? Does she have puppies around? She's gonna protect them. That's no different than a mom with their kid. Mom's gonna protect them. So just know what the situation is. Know what you're walking into, or at least try to get a really good idea what you're walking into before you just go in there and kick the door in and walk up in there. I haven't met a dog that I was truly afraid of. Uh, Lots of them that I respect. Uh, Bigger dogs I never worried about. Because I can promise you that little 20-pound beagle, she got that head turned around real quick and got a hold of my wrists, my hands, my fingers, and everything else before I could let go of one of them. So, uh, my theory is that a big dog just can't turn that fast, just for obvious reasons. Uh, so far, it's worked. Hopefully, I don't ever have to put that to a test. Uh, yeah, that's just my thinking. I would much rather fight a big dog than a small one. One, you can see them a whole lot better. But pay attention to what's going on. Is it a pregnant mom, or is it a mom that's she's just had puppies and she's got them hidden? You are unknowingly close. Uh, are you getting too close to the dog's home? Are you getting too close to the dog's vehicle? When I take Gracie on transports with me, she does not like people coming near that truck. Doesn't matter if we're in it or not. She does not like it. She's not going to let it happen. She's going to bark. Now, I can tell you with 99.9% certainty, if I open that door of that truck, she is going to come out. She is going to pounce on them front legs. And if that person were to stomp their foot on the asphalt, she'd run right back to me. It's kind of funny because people freak out and then she does that. And, so you got to know what you're looking at. Not all dogs are bad. Not all breeds are bad. A lot of people are, though, when it comes to animals. They abuse them in a lot of different ways. Get them for certain characteristics because they're big, because they supposedly were trained to bite, whatever the case may be. Back to the topic, the dog could be hurt. You may have just touched it where it's hurt. Could have just got clipped by a car, could have a broken leg. You picked it up not knowing. You could have hit that brake. And the dog probably nipped you. So just pay attention. Watch. Actually watch. Just don't assume that the dog is 10 pounds and you can just go up there and snatch him up. And I promise you, when you snatch him up, you're going to have your hands full. So just pay attention. And like I said, I'm going to go through my book. And I'll actually have it open, but I'm going to go over it first. Again, kind of review myself so I don't have to look at it a lot. And there's a whole lot of different topics in there that are great for people like you and I. And I say me now because I'm no longer with the sheriff's department or animal control, I should say. It's helpful. It may not seem like a lot until you get put in that situation. Do your research. There's information all over the place. Code 3 Associates does classes all over the country. There's 3 manuals to the class that I started. I would like to, now that it's been so long, I would like to go back through Manual 1 and just get a refresher on that. And I would like to take the other 2. The other 2 go into livestock and larger animals. They go into grading of animals, that sort of thing. It's a really good class. When I went to it, there was only a couple of us that were animal control officers. The rest of the people were shelter workers, volunteers that worked at a shelter, and I helped them out. So I hope this helps somebody. And again, I'll go over it in more depth, more detail later on, along with some other topics. and you know, we'll go from there. But just thought I'd put one up tonight. I hadn't put one up in about 2 weeks. So we'll get back into it. I'll start trying to put one up once a week. Maybe not quite this long, but we will go back to putting them up. So appreciate everybody watching. Spread the news about our rescue. If you are one of our followers, one of our members, Jimmy does have that raffle going on. I think we're going to do it to the 1st, somewhere in there, 1st of next month. So get your tickets, contact Jimmy. When you get done watching this, I need you to click like and to click the bell and hit subscribe. We can really make this work good for the rescue. If we can get enough subscribers, that's going to help us out. So hit the like, share it, click subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff. We really need the exposure. We need the help in every way, and so it's what we need. I appreciate everybody watching, and you know, we'll try to get one up next week. You know, so appreciate y'all. Thank you.